Global product sourcing makes custom apparel, drinkware, tote bags, and so much more merch to help you promote your brand. Seriously, I checked their website, and you can even get branded mosquito repellent for all of you mosquito paranoid Las Vegans. They're locally owned and operated and have created custom promotional items for Lee's Discount Liquors, Steiner's Pubs, and Aviators Baseball. They'll help you find the right product for your timeline and your budget. Go to thegpsinc.com. That's THEGPSINC.com, thegpsinc.com. We hit a new heat record this week, 120 degrees, which beats the previous 117-degree record set all the way back in 1942. So today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm with our producers, Sonia Cho Swanson and Layla Mohammed, and we're taking a moment to talk heat. What's in the news and how to safely exist in this weather. We know there are a lot of newbies in the Valley, and we want you to make the best choices. But you old-timers might learn something too. Everyone likes to complain about the weather, but Las Vegans do it best. It's Wednesday, July 10th. I'm Sarah Lohman, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Sonia and Layla, what are some of the wildest heat-related headlines you saw this past week?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the one that really struck me was this one from Fox 5, which was Las Vegas Burn Care Center sees patients daily with massive heat wave. Apparently last year, UMC's Burn Care Center, they only saw 3 patients hospitalized with pavement burns in the entire month of June. And then this June, that number was up to at least 23. So
let me go back to make sure people understand. Like, we're not talking about people who are suffering from like heat stroke or heat exhaustion. We're talking about people who've received physical burns from touching the sidewalk.
Pavement.
Yeah.
Yes. And unfortunately, it does seem like a lot of these people are folks who are either drunk, maybe fell down on the hot pavement, maybe they have some kind of medical issue like a seizure, or maybe they pass out from dehydration. But the pavement gets really hot here in Vegas.
This is a little bit of like, I mean, a friend told me this, but she was here for a bachelorette in the middle of the summer, and the bride got burns on the bottom of her feet from being like drunk at the poolside and walking around and not noticing it. Yeah.
No.
That might be the next innovation in Las Vegas, like party culture. We have to find out a way to make those, wherever poolside walkway, it has to be walkable in the heat.
Oh my God, seriously.
Or we put on like bridal and bachelorette parties, like those little footies like you put on dogs so they don't hurt their little paws.
Yes. That's the other thing I was going to say. Like dogs, that makes me feel so sad for dogs. Any dog I see without footies on.
Seriously, yeah.
I mean, and the Weather Channel, the news always says they release these like pet walking links. Like you have to walk your pet before 6 a.m., right? All right, Layla, what about you? What have you seen?
So mine actually comes from the National Park Service. Visitor dies traveling through Death Valley on motorcycle. There was a group of 6 motorcyclists traveling through Death Valley on July 6th, and one died from heat exposure. Another visitor was also treated for severe heat illness, but it really shows you, like, traveling through Death Valley, the high temperature was 128 degrees Fahrenheit, and that surpassed the daily record of 127. So I think the heat this week is just tearing through everywhere.
And you're out on a motorcycle, you're exposed. I mean, it's bad enough in a car, right? Like, I have some city-minded friends visiting, and they were like, well, where can we stay where we can walk to the Sphere? And I'm like, don't walk anywhere.
No.
Do not.
Nowhere.
I wouldn't recommend even coming, but like, you cannot go outside. And currently they live in Austin, so I think they feel like they know what hot, humid heat is, but like 90 and humid is still not 120.
No.
When I just flew in from the East Coast, I walked out of Harry Reid. It was like I'd open an oven door. It's crazy.
Yeah. And maybe don't go to Death Valley in the middle of the day.
Yeah, we saw this last summer too, where they were expecting, a high temperature at Death Valley, and people went there for heat tourism or whatever, and
Oh,
people also
no.
died then. So I think Death
What is
Valley
heat
is
tourism?
really...
Just like feeling how hot it is?
I don't know. I made up that word, but
Okay.
No, but I do feel like that is a thing.
Like a thrill seeking.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, no, I'd like to just feel that. But like you have to get out there, which is dangerous.
exactly. And Death Valley's really proven to be dangerous in the summer.
It's in the name. It's called Death Valley.
Literally. Literally. Layla, were you saying something about the helicopters earlier?
Yeah, so it was so hot when this motorcyclist died of heat exposure that emergency services, which included their flight helicopters, were unable to respond because generally they cannot fly safely over 120 degrees. So even
Oh
in
my
Las
gosh.
Vegas,
Oh, no.
it was unsafe for some flights to take off in some helicopters.
Okay, here's the wildest headline that I saw, though. So I couldn't tell what pool it was, but it was clearly like outdoor casino pool,
Uh-huh.
and a palm tree had combusted.
What?
This was a video. Yeah. So it was like smoldering, I should say. I couldn't
Oof.
see if there were actual flames. Las Vegas Locally shared this. The video was originally shared by @KevinRobMartin. Going into the comments and Googling a little bit, there's a lot of discussion about like, can palm trees spontaneously combust? Like they're oily. There's usually a lot of dried leaves. Does it hit a flash point and do they just burst into flames? Fire departments say no, but that the dried palm leaves are so combustible that if there is a tossed cigarette butt or just like
Okay.
an errant
Uh-huh.
spark somewhere, that they can absolutely light up.
This is like some straight up biblical weather, like burning
Yeah.
bush, like
Palm trees.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It was a date palm that caught fire. I know way too much about palms, and those are from like the Arabian Peninsula and
See?
Jerusalem.
End times, Sarah. End times.
Really, would I have to go down the rabbit hole to see how many of these are bursting on fire in Dubai? Because if they're not catching on fire in Dubai, who knows?
Who knows?
I mean, we officially broke a new heat record on Sunday. It was the hottest day ever recorded in Las Vegas at 120 degrees Fahrenheit for our European listeners. So you both grow up here. Does this feel different to you than, the 90s?
Well, I was born in 97, so
Okay, never mind, Layla.
my frame of reference is a little smaller, but 8 of the 10 warmest years since 1895 have been between 2000 and 2020. So it's always felt warm in Vegas to me. It's been, we've been breaking records every summer since I've been born.
Sonia, you are a little bit older.
A little bit older, but actually my family didn't move to Las Vegas until 2002. So
Oh, okay.
similarly to Layla, we came in like the hottest era of Las Vegas, I guess. But I remember when we first moved, I joined the tennis team at my high school, and I looked down, and tennis courts obviously get super hot. I remember after a practice, I looked down at my skin and I was like, what is this white powder on my skin? And I licked it, and it was salt
Oh,
from
your
my
sweat.
sweat that had just basically like evaporated into like this white powder
Wow.
on my skin. It was so hot on the courts, which is now looking back, I'm like, why were they letting kids on the tennis courts in August? It was freaking hot.
Yeah.
Vegas kids are built to tougher stuff.
I mean, we might be.
I did soccer in the summer. Like, that was
Wow.
my sports time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's wild.
I do have a memory from probably the 80s of like the first days over 100 degrees in Northeast Ohio. And
Wow.
we like went to the basement for 3 days essentially because like
Wow.
our house wasn't equipped with air conditioning.
Right,
Mm.
right. Whereas in Las Vegas, I feel like we've been equipped for this level of heat for a really long time. Like everyone's homes are, well, I shouldn't say everyone, but pretty much most people's homes are built with AC. We know how to like escape into the shade. It's harder to feel a visceral difference between like 115, 116, 117, and 120. That 3-degree difference when it's already so hot in Vegas is
Yeah.
kind of hard to grasp. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, even our older homes are sort of built structurally different.
Mhm.
Yes, everything over about 100 feels the same, all sort of equally miserable and dangerous to me. But, the stats say that we're not necessarily going to get hotter, but that we are going to see more days over 109 degrees. Whereas back in 1990, we only saw maybe 9 days over 109 degrees. That's a lot of nines. Whereas it's predicted by 2050, we'll see 38 days over
Oof.
109 degrees.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but 109 versus 120, I don't know.
Yeah, it all feels the same to me. And I think on Sonia's point, Las Vegas was literally built to survive with these desert temperatures. There was a quote from KTNV. Kelsey McFarland from NDOT said that that's why you don't see our roads buckling, because our roads were made to withstand that heat. And then I know that our airport, they repaved the runways from asphalt to concrete to better withstand temperatures. So, I mean, we're literally changing our infrastructure to withstand these high temperatures.
Okay, so what about for us individually? I know that there are we have a lot of listeners who are new to the Valley, right? We are who people turn to figure out how to live in Las Vegas. So help them. Like, what do we do? Like, it's not just dealing with the extreme heat. How do we survive in this weather? How do we exist?
Yeah. Okay. Number one, this time of year, I go nocturnal. So I do not leave the house or do not leave indoor spaces if at all humanly possible. Obviously, sometimes you have to. But until basically the sun is starting to set. And that can include going to the grocery store, running my errands, meeting up with friends. You know, it's like if somebody wants to grab lunch, I might suggest, a dinner instead. And occasionally also just like a really early morning walk, with the dog. If they're down to wake up early because I have to, walk the dog early in the morning anyhow, if they're down to do a little jaunt at 7 a.m., then, that's maybe a better time to meet up. But nocturnal
early morning.
Yeah.
Nocturnal. It's still unbelievably hot, though, Sonia. That's what shocked me when I first moved here. I'm used to it getting cooler when the sun goes down first thing in the morning, which is why we should schedule in siestas, so the CityCast day, so we can split our days, which is honestly what I do when I work for myself.
I like it.
All right, Layla, what are you thinking? Help us out.
So I was a babysitter for 4 years, so I'm very prepared for childcare in the summer. Also, growing up here, my parents always had to find something to do with us in the summer. So water sports, water balloon fights, water guns, like anything you can do with water outside really helps entertain kids and keep them cool. If you don't have a pool, splash pads at the park. There are some great parks in Summerlin that have some great splash pads. There's some Henderson ones too, but Summerlin has my heart for parks.
Oh my God, or the old kiddie pool in the shade that you can dip your feet and ankles in? Yeah.
I want that as an adult.
Yeah. Oh,
we need adult splash pads.
That's what I did during the pandemic in Cleveland. We just bought a big kiddie pool for the back parking lot.
I love it.
How our buildings sort of interacted and stayed cool.
Exactly. But recently, what I saw at a restaurant, as we were leaving, they asked us if we wanted a water cup to go, which is so small, but getting in your hot car with a cold cup of water really made a difference. So I'm doing that all summer now, is taking a water cup to go from any restaurant I'm in. Because getting in your car, that's the worst part for me, is getting in your car after it's been sitting outside in the hot sun.
Layla, what was the restaurant, if you want to give me a little shout out?
It was Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, that's sweet. I love it. I love it.
So my tips: go to the mountains. I feel like even people who have moved here recently don't know that we basically have a slice of Northern California, 20 minutes north of the Strip. Like, get up there. I don't even do like water stuff when the sun's up, Sonia. That's like a great nocturnal activity for me. But for me, like, I'm very sort of prepared when it comes to car stuff because, I'm solo. I also like to road trip a lot. I like to go see friends in Palm Springs. So I'm worried about both breaking down on the side of 215 in the heat and the traffic, or like in the middle of the Mojave Preserve. So I basically have like a crate or, a box in my trunk. There is lots of water in there, lots and lots of water. Salty, non-perishable snacks, of course, nothing that will melt. There's jumper cables. There's Flat Tire Fix. That's like a foam you can attach to your tire and like spray it and at least like get you to civilization.
Cool.
You're going to need sunscreen. And this sounds counterintuitive, but like a warm blanket. I've got like a wool Pendleton blanket in there, both because temperatures can drop at night depending on your altitude, and also because you can use that to produce more shade if you're waiting for help. Please sign up for roadside assistance. I get it through my car insurance. I get it through Geico. It's included in my plan. But of course, there's also AAA. That's really important. And in the worst circumstances, you might not have cell service. Many cell companies, they let you make satellite calls for emergencies now. But, check in and see what your options are and if that's available. And I think most importantly, I always get my car checked out before I go on a road trip to LA or Palm Springs or to Utah when I'm going to be driving in dangerous and hot conditions.
Yeah. If I can add to that for the car
Please.
tips, I have two. So one is if you have any small pets that you keep in the car, I actually take, hot water bottles that you usually fill up with hot water in the wintertime to keep you warm in bed. I fill mine up with water and I freeze it. And anytime that I am driving anywhere like more than 10 minutes with my dog, I'll pull up that hot water bottle from the freezer and put it in the backseat for my dog. And she loves it. She lays on it and it's so nice and cool. Okay, so my second car tip is that I actually wear gloves. And this is more of a sun tip because you get a lot of sunburn. You can get a lot of sunburn and sunspots on your hands.
That's so delicate. You wear driving gloves.
I wear driving gloves like an old-fashioned 19th century lady in a carriage.
Yeah, in your Model T going down the street.
It's a fashion statement.
The upside is that when you're touching a hot steering wheel or opening a hot car door, less likely to get burned.
Yeah. Oh, this is random, but I put my back seat down because I'm not putting kids back there usually, so to protect the leather.
That's smart.
Yeah. So, but you're also supposed to condition the leather and stuff like that too, because it cracks in the sun, especially if you don't have covered parking.
Wow.
Okay, so we're not the most vulnerable people in the heat. I have central air, I have the money to pay for it, right? So what should we do if we see an unhoused person that is passed out on the sidewalk in this heat?
So I actually reached out to Help of Southern Nevada, which is one of the biggest organizations in our area helping unhoused folks. And their advice is if you see someone who is passed out and not looking good, if they're in distress or if they are unresponsive, you should actually probably call 911 and seek intervention because they'll be able to tell you, they're going to be the best people to give you the advice, right, and tell you what to do. However, if they're conscious and awake and they need some services, if they need some water, you can either give them an email address or help them email Abby Quinn, the Chief Community Relations Officer at Help of Southern Nevada. That's AQUINN at helpsonv.org to connect them to resources. And the third thing I'll mention is that Help of Southern Nevada is actually having a big water drive because they go out and they pass out gallons and gallons of cold water every single day. So now through Labor Day, if you guys want to donate water, you can go drop off pallets of water, and I'll give you that address. It is 1600 East Flamingo Road, and that warehouse is open Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. They go directly to homeless folks, unhoused folks on the streets of Las Vegas.
Can we also donate money to that organization in the water drive?
Yes, absolutely. So if you go to helpsonv.org, you can learn all about it.
Okay, amazing. So is there any upside to these temps, to this brutal heat of the summer in Las Vegas?
I mean, one upside could be, and this kind of goes back on my tips of what to do with kids during the heat. There could be cool science things to do. You can bake cookies in your car and fry an egg on the sidewalk. So, I mean, those are cool sciencey things you can do with your kids during the heat.
At least my car will smell like cookies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sonia, what do you think?
I guess if I'm just going to get a little more philosophical, I feel like it's, to me, a reminder that we chose to live here and need to adapt to the environment versus the other way around. I think we work so hard to try to do cloud seeding and carve into the mountains and so forth. But maybe we need to think about ways that we adapt to the environment versus, trying to force the environment to adapt to us.
Sonia, I mean, let's get deep. We talk about that we record this podcast on the homelands, the traditional homelands in the Newuvi, the Southern Paiute people. The Southern Paiute people weren't here in the valley in July. They were up in the mountains where there's water and food and reasonable temperatures. They adapted to the land through this pattern of transhumance, of being here in the winter, down in the valley, and up in the mountains in the heat of the summer. And we sort of want to shape the environment to us as opposed to shaping ourselves to the environment. I don't know. I think the one benefit of brutal summers here is the other 9 months of the year, which are absolutely perfect. And I will take July seasonal depression rather than February seasonal depression in Cleveland. Sorry, Cleveland. You're gross in February.
Fair.
Thank you both for all your tips. And I hope this helped y'all out there, too.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
And that's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our morning newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.